Hey, what's happening everyone? Joey here with Simple DIYer, and in this video I'm going to give you a full review of my lumber storage system here. I'm going to give you some insights on what I like, what I don't like about, and some of the things that I would definitely change. And trust me, there's a few things that I definitely do not like and am going to change, especially on this big bad boy here. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the overall lumber storage system here and why I did it the way I did it, right? Now, the first thing that I wanted to do, and my main focus, was to make sure that everything was in one central location, everything fit perfectly, and to maximize as much floor space as I can. So this is why I built the lumber cart first, right? Because I wanted to make sure that the actual lumber rack was right above this. So I built the lumber rack first, put it in there, I filled it up with stuff, right? And then from here on out, that's how I got the measurements from this. Another thing I really like about this whole project here is that nearly the entire project, I'd say about 99.5% of it, was made from nothing but cutoffs and offcuts from my previous projects, like the miter station and the Polk hybrid and other projects from years and years ago. And then this lumber cart was made from my old workbench that I've had for about, I don't know, about 15, 16, 17 years. Right up here, these lumber racks, there's 15 total racks, and I'd say about 11 or 12 of them were made from cutoffs, and then the rest of them I actually had to cut from full, from the sheets that I had, or the 2x4s that I had. The actual lumber cart, nearly the entire thing, with the exception of this center divider here, and the front piece, which is the 2x6 or the 1x6, 2x6. The 2x6 board, I actually had to buy that because I didn't have that available. But other than that, this entire thing was made completely from the old workbench that I had. I did not do any cutting on that, on the actual surface. I actually adjusted the original plans to fit that panel there, and it actually worked out because it's wider. Alright, so let's talk about this section here, the actual lumber rack, right? This first layer here, or this first shelf, I actually reused this from the old shelves that were here before. I almost tore it up, and I'm glad I didn't, because I really wanted a section here for small cutoffs and little offcuts here and there. And I originally was just going to do it like halfway. But then I thought, you know, let's just go ahead and do the full width. And I already had the shelves made, so I used it for that. And right here you'll see there's offcuts of all kinds, and here is more for hardwoods. I've been really into dovetailing a lot, making dovetail boxes and things like that. So I keep all my hardwood here. I've got yellow heart, walnut, what's this here, butternut, ashwood, maple, all kinds of hardwoods here, and I just keep it here. It was also important for me to keep this section specifically at eye level and at reach. I wanted to be able to see everything that's in there, just grab whatever I want without having to grab a step stool, which is why I took this front little lip out and just shortened it up and just put a little 1-inch lip there to give this section a bit of strength and also keep things from falling out. The top section, which is the actual lumber rack, there's 3 rows going up, and then there's 5 rows going this way. I probably could have gotten away with just 4, but I just wanted to make sure. It's the first time I did this, so I wanted to make sure it was nice and strong. So this first section here, it's 15 inches high, and then the last 2 are 12 inches. Now this section here, I wanted to make sure that also it was in arm's reach and I could see everything. I still need a step ladder to grab the top parts, but at least I could see everything, right? And this section is more for lumber that's you know, used on a more regular basis than the top stuff. And I just want to be able to get, you know, have access to it really quick. The top 2 rows are more for long-term storage. And right now I've got those beams that you see there. Those are Douglas fir, and they came from a vinegar vat from Chicago. Supposedly, the place where I got it at, the guy said that it's over 100 years old. I don't know for sure. I don't know how to tell the age of it, but it looks pretty cool. I cut a little piece off, and it's just beautiful, the color of that Douglas fir. So I'm thinking of doing my first Robu bench with that wood there. Now the depth of this here is 12 inches, and as I mentioned before, from here to there is 15 inches or 16 inches, and then the other two are 12 inches. Now, part of the reason I chose this dimension was, one, I wanted to keep things flush with the cart, right? And two, I didn't want, like, 16 inches, 18 inches like some of the other guys do, for one main reason, right? I wanted to force myself to keep things at a minimal. I didn't want to have like 20 inches of space, because you will reuse it, right? So having it at 12 inches forces me to keep things at a minimal. And then the same rules apply for the height. Some people have these 16, 20 inch space in between, and then they fill it up with stuff. And like always, that one piece of lumber that you need is right at the bottom. So that was part of the reason why I went with the dimensions that I went with, just to force myself from doing that. And it's worked out so far. Alright, so let's talk about the lumber cart here. The plans for this I got in the same place that Jay Bates got his. I did a quick search for it, found it, and I think I had to pay like $3 or $4 for it. Well worth it just to get the specs and the dimensions. I adjusted it to fit my needs though, but I just wanted to have something to go by, right? Now I built it though in the way that April Wilkerson built hers, because I think that the way she built hers, you get more use out of the cart. And the only difference is that the original plans, this bottom part is flush with this whole back area here. The way April Wilkerson built hers, it actually extends. And with hers, she actually has like a little cubby thing going all the way around here, and gives her more storage space to put some stuff in there, right? Now, the reason that I did not do it on this one, because at the time I only had one sheet of plywood left, and I knew that I would need some for these here. So that's why I didn't use it. And then for this center section here, the center divider, I actually had the originals from the workbench, but I screwed up on these notches. It was backwards, and I don't know how I screwed it up, but I screwed it up. So I actually had to use a piece of that plywood for this center divider. So there went my plywood for that. Now I have enough for some projects that I'm doing now, but I'll have enough for this, and when I do it, I'll have a video on that for you. Now let's talk about the pros and cons, right? Because with this, it's about 50-50 with me, right? Well, there's a few things that I really do not like about this, right? Now, real quick, the pros, obviously, it keeps everything organized in one central location. It's real easy to just put the plywood there and take it off. So I'm loving that, right? Now the cons I really don't like is because when it's filled up like this, it's really heavy and it's hard to move. Like right now, I'm like really putting, it is heavy. I really got to put some torque on it to move it. And it could be two reasons why. One is I have a ton of plywood here, right? Now normally I wouldn't keep this much stock, but I'm doing a lot of projects, so I racked up on this here. So that could be the reason. And two, which is I believe is the majority, is these cheap casters that I got at Harbor Freight. That does it for me in Harbor Freight. That's the last time I'm going to get anything at Harbor Freight. I mean, those casters, I bought them because they were like $2 each, right? And they're supposed to hold, hold a lot of weight, but man, they just absolutely suck, because even without all this plywood here, it was still a bit hard to move. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace them for the ones that I usually get at Home Depot. They're $10 each, and that's why I didn't get them, right? But let me tell you, I never had issues with them on my Polk Hybrid and on my old workbench. In fact, on the Polk Hybrid at one time, I had about 6 or 7 full sheets of ply, of 3/4 on top, and I moved it with ease. So when the old workbench, I'm thinking about getting rid of it, and if I do, I'm just going to swap out the casters and put them here. But other than that, it's convenient, and that's the only reason why I'm going to keep it. I really don't need to move it. I could just pull the sheets of plywood out that way. The only time I really need to move it is to put it up in front of the garage to take it from the truck into here. Other than that, you know, I like it. So there you have it, folks. That's my full review of my lumber storage system here. All in all, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, everything's in one central location. It's organized, or as organized as I can get it, right? But that's what I'm loving about it. It's in one place versus before where it was just laying up against the wall all over the floor, and that's just used to drive me nuts. So for now, it's gonna stay like this for a long time until I figure out something else to do with it, right? Or put it somewhere else. We're always changing things around, right? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and also share it with your friends. And if you got any questions at all or any feedback about this lumber storage system, please leave them in the comments below. In the next video, I'm going to be doing a full shop tour of what the shop looks like now versus what it used to look like before at the beginning of the season. I think it'll be kind of cool to see like the before and after and the transition in between of me turning the shop into what it is right now. So make sure to subscribe to be notified when the next video gets published. Share and like this video. With that said, this is Joey with Simple DIY. Peace. I love you for free, and I'll see you on the next.